Political video, yay! It's the day to vote today, and I love it because despite like 40% of people in the oldest 25% of people of high school or something being legally able to vote, and 0% of grades prior to high school being able to vote, I'm just estimating on that statistic, no real source there. We all get the day off, and not Halloween. I'm guessing some lobbyists wanted the teachers union on their side and were like, hey bud, you guys don't have to drown your sorrows in alcohol dealing with children yelling all day. Just skip that day and vote. Alyssa Slot can either stands party first and country second or the opposite. And you can tell both commercials are telling the truth because one has a blatantly abruptly cut clip out of her saying the former with no context, and you can tell the other commercial is telling the truth because they don't even give context. Vote Kelly Breen. Who, you may ask? Well, she's had her ad on this website a billion times. But you probably didn't even notice because her ad is so short that I only got her name after the 12,000th time. It was so short I couldn't even see it. And yet, despite the political ads always being garbage, a supposedly nonpartisan promotion by a YouTuber named JelloApocalypse is somehow even more disgusting than something made by old greasy fucks who want to maintain power and money. So, let's see what the apocalypse brings to the table, which is pretentiously, albeit simply titled, video called Vote. Now, before I get into the video, I myself will try to be as nonpartisan as possible. This means I won't be fact-checking anything politically divisive between the parties, or at least I will try to avoid it. Just in case anyone clicked on this video and expected that. No, this video will focus on where people should put their politics. Nonpartisan does not mean apolitical, it just means that you don't associate yourself with either party. Either way, for the proper background information on JelloApocalypse, he's not a political channel at all, and has been pretty good about keeping his politics out of his videos. He doesn't really specialize in any type of video, in particular because his channel is actually pretty unique overall. Different topics and different ways of doing them. Also, a ton of people ripped off his reviewed in 10 words or less format, and I probably will too. Ooh, that dislike bar. This is probably a good video to start on if I want to avoid getting gang raped by the fandom. It even looks like a lot of them didn't like the episode themselves. So, let's begin.
This is a message for my American viewers. Vote. Vote, vote, vote. Vote on Tuesday, November the 6th. Vote now, if you can. Get your friends to vote. Get your family to vote. Get everyone you know to vote.
Let me start this off with a controversial opinion. Encouraging everyone to vote? That's something I kind of disagree with. You know how kids can't vote until they're 18? Well, some adults never grow out of 17. And some adults who are that immature know this, so they don't really vote. They don't need to vote. Not everyone researches who which candidate is or does. Sometimes they just don't research it because of the time or commitment. It's tough to sift through propaganda and get to non-biased articles, though finding some consistency is better than nothing. People frequently try to counter this point on both political sides, or at least in my anecdotal experience. Usually by saying that you are being wasteful to not exercise your right to vote. To that I say, we have the freedom to vote and to not vote. This is a weird social stigma that ignores part of it completely. The countries who don't give their people this right give their people an unfortunate situation, true. But even in those countries, not everyone would want to vote. It's simple common sense. I'm sure during the 2016 election a lot of people didn't want to actively support people they disliked, though obviously some reluctantly did. Despite this, I see too many people get mad that people don't vote at all when the candidates are either people they don't like or don't know. And voting ignorant is a terrible thing to encourage. Even if they disagree with you politically, it's kinda nasty to have them vote for someone randomly, and it turns out that if they did research on the candidate in the first place, said candidate that they would have voted for ended up being worse than the one they didn't vote for. Or at least to them personally, because obviously people still disagree in politics. So no, not everyone should vote. Not everyone who can should vote. Everyone who can vote should exercise all of their constitutionally given rights to vote and to not vote. Back to the video. Sorry, end tangent.
Vote even if you need to skip work. Those few hours of wages aren't worth your country being an unsafe place for you and your family.
We aren't even in the partisan aspect of the video, and we've already uncovered something that I genuinely disagree with, and I really hate. Skipping work, if you want to talk about unsafe, getting fired can be pretty unsafe. And don't fucking demean those few extra wages. Sometimes one vacation day could snowball over time and end up causing people to go over the amount of vacation days. Sometimes that means they don't get to spend time with their family. Sometimes it means they get fired. And that kind of means that they end up not getting enough money to survive, and that's pretty unsafe. Hope you enjoy food stamps in a shitty city. Oh, shitty city. That rhymes. I guess vacation day responsibly. But what if you are working because it's election day? Ever heard of poll workers? Even if they would assumably have enough time to vote, because duh. This whole segment seems really selfish. Your vote may not overturn the safety of this country. And guess what? Wages are important. Hanging out with your family is important. A safe country for your family is only safe if your family is safe. Whoop-de-doo, everyone else is happy, but I take all of my vacation days a year to deal with taxes, vote, fix the house, work overtime, which is sometimes not legal, but I don't have enough money to get a lawyer. Sometimes I have to fix a neighbor due to contracts. Sometimes a lot of things just happen in life. I don't know. Like, I'm sorry, but I can't agree with this point. Maybe I'm just nitpicking, and maybe I'm not well versed enough in this research. This seems pretty alright so far as a video, you know? Got a good message. Maybe what I'm criticizing is too subjective for me to call blatantly stupid. I just know I wouldn't want to spend what little free time I had on miserable politics if I were this hypothetical adult. Politics is usually not the most important thing in most people's lives, because usually it's not the most pertinent. It obviously does affect people personally, and I will get into this, but there are more important things in their life typically. Once again, family. Everything can indirectly affect that. Once again, this may be my weakest point in my video, so let's move on.
Vote even if you think they'll throw your vote away. Vote even if you think it's rigged. Vote even if you think your vote doesn't matter. Because it does.
Speaking of which, this segment is actually pretty darn good so far. No complaints here.
Because that's what a government is for. Helping people. Read about your candidates and vote for the people you can trust. Look up who they really are and read about what they've really done. You might be...
This is really good advice, and maybe it debunked my earlier points, but I still think you should make sure someone has researched their candidates, or make sure you research them prior to encouraging them to vote. But still, so far, aside from a few flubs, this video hasn't been horrible. Maybe I've just been a little overreactive. That cliche hasn't gotten annoying in commentary videos before. I'm sure it never has, and it never will.
If you voted for the current administration because you genuinely thought they would really help America, that's fine. That's what you should always do. Your vote and your voice matter. But don't be afraid to look at our country now and reconsider. There's nothing wrong with having backed the wrong horse. There is something wrong with seeing that horse running towards a cliff and refusing to get off just because it's your horse.
Boy, so much wrong with these few seconds. This is such blatant propaganda, and the worst part is how he tries to hide it, and yet it clearly fails due to both the comments and the dislikes. Everyone can tell this is fucking propaganda. Now, unlike Jello here, I won't tell you it's fine to have an opinion about Trump, then tell you it's not fine. First of all, you're talking about how bad it is to be stuck on horses, but you won't get down from your high horse. Second, what if people disagree that this country is in a worse place than it was? I'm not saying it's true, but plenty of sources would say Obama's time was worse, or Bush's, or Clinton did worse for a public image, Reagan, or everyone has different opinions. Don't act like you're some factual god because you cite a few sources. It wouldn't matter if I turned out to be wrong in this regard, because it's just a blatant fact that the trustworthiness of the media is a debate right now. So that already makes the validity of it a little bit in question. All these sources, you can't just objectively say that this is in fact a fact. I mean, you can, but it would be stupid to do so in a video encouraging people to vote and it's supposed to be nonpartisan. The problem is that there's still discussion to be had here. Don't act like because of these sources that you found that there is no more discussion. Journalism gets associated with both sides all the time. From Breitbart to Fox being accused of being associated with Republicans and manipulating statistics, famously aggressive newscasters and their phrase fair and balanced, contrasting poorly against how almost every name on their show has an R for Republican in brackets. Or CNN, who had someone try doxing a child over a meme. Or NBC, who's lied about tapes trying to politicize the Zimmerman case even when it wasn't initially political. Third, and most importantly, this video wasn't called Why You Should Vote for Democrats, or hell, Who You Should Vote For. No, it was called Vote. The beginning's message was making sure that you get out there and vote. Hell, even right before you basically said that people were wrong for voting differently than how you would have voted, you said that it was fine. Just disgusting, the amount of cheekiness. There was clearly an agenda here. But he clearly wanted to avoid being caught with it, but
don't be afraid to look at our country now and reconsider. There's nothing wrong with having backed the wrong horse. There is something wrong with seeing that horse running towards a cliff, refusing to get off, just because it's your horse.
This isn't as subtle as you guys think it is. You are telling people to vote how you want them to, and instead of arguing an unfair and balanced video, thesis statement was to propose why you should vote for Democrats. Instead, you say that you should vote for who you want to vote, but that you were wrong to vote this way. This would have been fine and dandy if that was the topic of the video. It would have been annoying of you to have it be like that on a non-political channel, but at least it would have been honest. Hell, I'm doing that right now.
Vote. Vote as though children are being separated from their parents at the border. Vote as though it's your child being separated from you.
Oh Christ, this is becoming even more blatant. He just said, vote based on these specific and cherry-picked facts. Like, for God's sakes, even if it was an openly political video, it still would have been poor form to not address the other side's argument like that. Heck, even unsleeved media does this from time to time, and I don't even think he researches his videos. And this is just the BS. Think of the children! Emotional crap that I don't really trust anyone who strictly uses pathos and never uses logos in their argument. Using those AP terms. Especially as blatantly one-sided as this, who, once again, never brings up the opposition's arguments. That's like if I made a video on this without showing any of the video itself and just me describing how bad it is.
Vote like trans people are being erased from the census and being told they do not exist.
That's not even what the fucking article says.
Vote like a black man was hanged from a tree for protesting police violence and police killing black men just for being black.
I love how he doesn't even switch to an article that supports his points and just leaves it on the same one. Like, oh yeah, the police are racist and there's no other reason to do something except it. I'm not gonna research. Accept it. What's research? I'm done with school. I mean, jeez. Let me help you and actually support your own claim because you're too lazy to do so.
Vote like your president is a nationalist. Because he is. Because he is.
Can't emphasize this enough. This is not about the politics, but how badly they're constructed. Vote like your president is a nationalist. Because he is. Is this a parody? Because he is? That's like the weakest argument anyone can fathom. That's like a parody of bad arguments.
Vote like the term alt-right is now a household term for fascism and hate. Because it is. Because it is.
Do I even need to say anything at this point? I'm baffled. This is the same video that it started out as. Like, what? Okay, first of all, he's repeating something as if it's profound, but I already established that even on its own it's profoundly stupid and it's almost to the point of parody. This is beyond parody. I don't even know what this is. It's like if JelloApocalypse wanted to make a nonpartisan video. That got him thinking about politics, so instead of making a video that tells people to just vote, he accidentally slipped a rant in there, got drunk, pissed on the... Nah, okay, I won't go AVGN. But, like, how? This repetition is an obvious propaganda tactic. It's not even necessarily bad, it's just how it goes. But if you repeat such obvious stuff in such an obvious manner, I'm pretty sure that tiny children and not smart adults would rule the world if just repeating stuff without any rhyme or reason, any thought, would actually convince people. Why am I the ruler of the world?
Because he is.
Goodness sakes, you're dealing with, I don't know, saying the alt-right's bad. It's like the easiest thing to say in the world and you still screwed it up. Martin Luther King Jr. had all wrong. He shouldn't have put thought into the speech, he should have just done this. Racism is bad. The opposition asks why. Well...
Because it is. Vote like Jewish people are being gunned down in a synagogue like it's 1939. Because they are. Vote like this is the world we live in.
Oh God.
Because it is.
Global warming.
And if now isn't the time to get political, it never will be.
Not gonna lie, if you never get political again, that won't be the biggest tragedy in the world. But jokes aside, that's so... ew. That's such blatant fear-mongering on top of everything else. And he, like the news media, only focuses on the negative. We're probably one of the most negative generations of all time right now anyways. Can't find anyone at my school who doesn't say they hate everyone or themselves at least once. Can't find a comment on a joke that isn't self-deprecating. Can't find an adult in the workforce who isn't talking about how much they're depressed about not being a kid anymore. It feels like this is preaching to the choir. Maybe it's just anecdotal because Michigan is cold and rarely sees a blue sky. But please, the world isn't just depression. People need to know that.
Vote like you love humans. Vote like you love all humans, and you believe that no one should be deported or beaten or killed because of how they look, or where they were born, or who they love, or who they are. Vote like you're a human. Vote because you love America. Because you know it's broken, and you need to be the one to repair it again. Because if you don't, nobody else will. Vote.
So, you're not human if you don't vote the way he wants you to? Here's the thing, animals, they're emotional. Sometimes they're logical. Humans were able to warp the world around them. Is that a good thing? That's up to debate. The aforementioned global warming joke. People will debate about the environmental aspects, but what isn't as much up for debate is that no other animal has the capability to accomplish as much as we can, at least in the way we're aiming to. Maybe in terms of survival or destruction, some of them can, but the closest comparisons to our immaculate cities that we've made are beavers playing with large Lincoln logs. Why? Acting like you're human is not being easily manipulated by an overly and blatantly pathological piece of propaganda. This video has a manipulative goal, and he even fails there because it's one of the most obvious examples I've ever seen. Why? Because we're humans. We think. We aren't dogs who get sad and stop whatever you do whenever you disagree. Honestly, I wish my spoiled cretins would do that. You should only vote if you want to, obviously. The name of the game of this episode is thinking. Don't be heartless, but listen to Jello's advice. Do your own research. Don't let him manipulate and guilt trip you to vote his way due to unreadable blocks of articles on screen, though mine weren't much easier to read. Do your own research on the articles. It doesn't matter if I insinuate that a lot of the news media isn't trustworthy. You do it however you want. Politics is complicated and important, so you should vote for who you want to vote for. Some people sadly act like politics is the most important thing in the world and will guilt trip you for not voting, let alone voting in a way they disagree with. Ooh, you're gonna get destroyed if you do that. Or maybe you don't want to vote. That's fine too. What I can't stand is people saying political opinions like fact. Both sides. It irritates me, and it irritates a lot of people. The only things I stated as fact in this video were that there were in fact controversies and a couple other things that were and a couple of other non-partisan things. Maybe I did a few more, but like, call me out on those. I didn't talk about who was right about the controversies. I mean, there were some things I stated as fact. Some things were obviously exaggerated and I couldn't not touch them. It wasn't because they were mostly exaggerated because of how overly simplified they were. I know it's a short video, but he shouldn't have made such complex topics just rapid fire if it was a short video. You can't just do it in a little bit of time. It is irritating for me in particular because it's tough for me to avoid this too, so I might accidentally turn to a hypocrite. Great. Anyways, before I can even go, wait, oh god, wait, so he's got a stupid comment too? Let's look at that. Before I can even go down to the comment section, I already see something weird. He cited google.com. Google.com. I'm getting sidetracked. Here's the comment. I can't do it justice, so let's just show you how stupid. So everyone, vote, but don't manipulate people. Or don't vote. And if you are going to manipulate people, do it with some grace and don't treat your target audience, who literally can't be kids under 18, and try, to treat them like adults. Probably screw some things up, so please do tell me in the comments. Most importantly, share this video so that Democrats, Republicans, and everyone in between will know that Jello done fucked up. Bye!